Greetings, my name is Chamomile, and this is an examination of the entire galaxy sector by sector. Today, we're looking at the Nilgaard Sector and 12th Cerulean Spear Command. I don't know what it is about the Prolemian trade route, but this section of space is packed with species homeworlds. Practically every sector out here really should have been 3 or 4. Some of these species are hard to verify, and in particular the nearby Kalundra sector had a few that sounded a lot like someone overheard a story about Ewoks and ripped it off for their own totally unverifiable tale of galactic adventure, but at least 2 of the species there are definitely real. Nilgaard ups the ante on that. There are 4 verified sentient species homeworlds out here. The one you're most likely to recognize are the Quermians, because Long King Yariel Poof was a meme like 6 years ago. The Quermians of planet Quermia are a colony of the Zexto of planet Troikan over in the Kalundra sector, but although the Quermians were originally Zexto, their colony was established in cooperation with the mad geneticists of Arcania, and there are a significantly taller species overall, especially in the neck. The Quermians had strong ties with the Jedi, so in the Imperial era they fell off the grid as completely as possible. They've been friendly with the New Republic since establishment, but being in a hotbed of Imperial remnant activity and near the very edge of the galaxy has complicated their readmission as a member world. They did get back most of the religious relics that the Empire looted and took to Coruscant though, so there's that. The second species is the Whippids of planet Tula in the Kael'ta system. Whippids are off-brand Wookiees, furry guys about 7 or 8 feet tall who live in tribes focused on hunting for sustenance on their ice planet home. They meet at hot springs, and despite their hunter culture, they are not known to engage in war with each other. There have been Whippid Jedi, no one you've ever heard of, and Whippid bodyguards for Imperial officers, but for the most part, these guys keep to themselves. Normally, a species like this, I would guess, is a Wookiee colony that spacers are telling tales about, but we've got thoroughly verified pictures of them, and while they're similar, they're clearly a distinct species. Plus, while we are coincidentally in the same over-sector command as Kashyyyk, Nilgaard Sector is on the rimward edge of the outer rim. Kashyyyk is on the coreward edge of the mid-rim. They're actually quite far away from each other. The Swokes are from the planet Makam Te. You might recognize this species from this food merchant. Jar Jar was complaining about how they couldn't go back into the streets or else they'd get mugged like 10 seconds earlier, and immediately he decides to rob this random woman. Anyway, the Swokes homeworld of Makam Te is ruled by the Congress of Caliphs, a senate of princes drawn from a military theocracy/aristocracy. I can only describe their culture as very extra, and yet in a brutalist kind of way. They do everything intentionally. They have professional mourners and lavish funerals and cities made of cast iron. They're a fairly militant society, and yet they're also very spiritually focused, and their reverence for their ancestors has led to the creation of a vast cemetery called the Tract, which takes up about 7% of the planet's total landmass. Makam Te was conquered by Zim the Despot, but broke away from the Tion hegemony after Zim's death and remained independent until they joined the Republic much later in the early Republic era. At the time of the Clone Wars, the Congress of Caliphs had brought in significant outside investment to mine up some valuable ore, and the common people of Makam Te became more attached to their ancient customs in reaction. The Republic had to send peacekeepers to tamp down tensions between new religious sects like the Temple of the Beautiful Razor and the Congress of Caliphs, and when the Clone Wars erupted, the CIS leveraged that to their advantage, offering to replace the Republic peacekeepers who, now unable to call in reinforcements, were being quickly shredded by Razor rebels, but naturally only if Makam Te joined the CIS. The Congress of Caliphs was split, and especially near the war's end, when it became clear that the Republic was going to win, loyalist Caliphs fought against separatists to retain the good graces of the Republic turned Empire. It mostly worked, and the Swokes had a reasonably good relationship with all 3 of the Empire, Greater Maldrude, and Zinj's successor Empire, who captured Nilgaard Sector one after the other. Our last species are the Carcharodons of Carcharis. They were pro-CIS and fought with CIS forces on Mon Cala, hoping to get some of the Mon Calamari Waterworld colonies in the region out of the war. No word on what happened to them after the Seps lost. Maybe they went off-grid to avoid Imperial retribution like the Quermians, or maybe when the Empire retributed them so hard that they still haven't recovered. As far as I can tell, the Nilgaard Sector is supposed to be the domain of the Congress of Caliphs. They definitely had Senate representation in the late Republic, and the other species of the sector have some reasons why they might not have had Senate representation, or the semi-sovereign status of sector governments. It's not clear when Makam Te joined the Republic, but given it's near the Tion cluster, it was probably very early in the early Republic era, before the Quermians settled Quermia, more towards the middle of that era, which means the Quermians might not have their own sector because Quermia was already someone else's planet when they got there, even if the Swokes weren't really using it for anything. The Whippids have a sparse population, hunters on an ice planet, and between their primitive tech and their thin population, they might have just been passed over. The Carcharodon civilization might have been hidden from view by their submarine nature, especially from early Republic scouts who were more concerned with getting an edge on the Hutts than on fully, thoroughly, and scientifically surveying a planet. These are flimsy reasons to cram 4 species into one sector, but that's the Republic bureaucracy for you. This part of the galaxy was also home to lots of little skirmishes between the Rebels and the Empire. Galshebis Prime was the site of a battle where Rebels holed up in a warehouse before taking advantage of technical flaws in Imperial Army pulse-hammer blasters to wipe out the troopers. An Imperial Army colonel was assassinated on Minta. Emmer was an Imperial fortress world, but Rebel forces cracked it in between Endor and Jakku. I couldn't find any specifics, but it seems clear that there was a very active rebel cell here after Rehaven IV, and which successfully liberated the sector before the formal establishment of the New Republic after Jakku.